There's a chill in the air here at the Stafford Motor Speedway as we head into the second Friday night of September. The season quickly coming to an end, but we still have 3 big events left, including a pretty special event this Friday for the SK Modifieds.
It is the 5th annual TC13 Shootout, a 13-lap sprint where the top 13 finishers from the 40-lap SK Modified feature will compete in a 13-lap sprint for extra money. Was it 13-13 to win? And all the way down the running order, there's extra money to win. So it's a cool event in honor of Ted Christopher, who anyone who watches him knows he races like it's a sprint race all the time. So it'll be fun. We've had 4 different winners in this race. Can we make it 5, or will we have a repeat?
We lost Ted Christopher 5 years ago. In fact, it was 5 years ago this week. He picked up his 131st checkered flag here at the Speedway. So it's going to be a special night for SK Modified teams, an event that last week was won by Corey DiMatteo for the second time this season.
Man, what a show Corey, David Root, Noah Corner, they put on. It was unbelievable. Crossing each other over, the turn 3 bottom shot, and then some. There were some deep dive bombs in the turn 3. But the aggressiveness paid off for Corey DiMatteo with the second win of the season. And that's after a bit of a rough summer stretch where they didn't get the finishes they wanted. They had a little bit of bad luck. But in the end, they shook it all off, returned to victory lane. And in the big picture, Todd Owen was disappointed with third because he thought he had a card that could win the race. And he hasn't won since the Spring Sizzler. But he got a third-place finish in the big picture, which matters most, 100-point lead. How do you even surpass that?
It's going to be hard.
Yes.
It's going to be hard, but Todd Owen looking for his second consecutive championship and looking for his second win of the season on Friday. In the late models, it was the winningest driver in that division, adding to his total in Tom Fern.
Well, it's funny because we said he hadn't won over a year, gets a win.
Yep.
He hadn't had a multi-win season, gets 2 wins. And then he had never won a 50-lap late model event, gets the 50-lap late model event win. He wins the Paradiso Insurance Late Model 50, holding off Adam Gray, the championship leader, so it trims the point deficit by 2. So it's down to 26 points. But, man, that race in general, Kyle, it was a wild, kind of rough feature.
One of the largest fields of the season for the late models, and, yeah, a wild event indeed, including a pretty big hit by Tom Butler.
Yep.
Thankfully, he's okay.
Yeah, that was a rough driver's side hit. We saw a couple big hits, and we're going to touch on more of that in the next feature to come. But Tom Fern is on a roll. 3 wins in the last 4 races. It's amazing how it seems like drivers are very streaky in the late models. We saw Gamba Corda have a hot streak early on. Then Adam Gray wins 4 in a row. Yep. Now Tom Fern has won 3 out of the last 4. Who's next?
Tom Fern right now 78 career wins here at the racetrack dating back to his pro stock days. That puts him tied for 3rd on the track's all-time win list. Both he and Keith slowly closing in on Woody Pitcat.
Only 3 wins away, and Woody's doing at least one more race, and that's the fall final, while Tom and Keith have 3 weeks of racing to go. So they might pull it off, but I'm sure Woody would like to get that one more win to slightly pull further away from those 2.
In the SK Light Modifieds, with all the mayhem that took place last Friday night, the top 3 are still separated by 4 points in the championship standings.
And they finished in the top 4. They managed to avoid all the trouble that happened in that race, and there was a good amount of trouble, capped off by the massive crash in turn 3 where we saw Jason Chapman on top of the guardrail. Not the ride the rookie was looking for, to say the least, but he was all right. Everybody in the pileup and the other wrecks were all right. But yes, Tyler Berry finally gets that first win after 4 runner-up finishes. It gets him the points lead. Pearl gets a podium, and he was kind of stuck in traffic for the first half of that race. The first 10 laps went caution-free, and Pearl was going nowhere. But once the caution came out, he found the outside line, avoided the trouble, and made his way to 3rd. Tyler Chapman narrowly avoided disaster. That turn 4 incident with Ron Midford Jr., Matt Scapini, even Tyler Alkis. Chapman was involved in that a little bit, but not enough to deter his run. He got a 4th. It's going to be quite a battle to the end between these 3.
What about that field of cars? 36 SK Lights. Where do they all come from?
I don't know, but I tell you what, I'll be very excited for the SK Light Invitational come fall final weekend.
And that is for drivers that have not won in 2022, just added to the Napa Fall final schedule in a couple weeks' time. In the limited late models a week ago was Damian Pilardi getting his 2nd win of the season, 2nd career win in a 2nd race car.
I wonder how many people can say they've done that in one season. Pilardi lost the primary car after hammering the turn 4 wall head on, which shook the production trailer, and then gets the backup car, which is his father's car, RJ Serdell. Struggled in the first few weeks, Then they figured out something last Friday, started up in front, stayed up front the entire race, had to hold off Jeremy Lavoie and Matt Scapini in the last 5 laps, but did it and got the win. That's a huge boost for that team because the summer was just so hard on them. Ever since that win, it just wasn't the same, but maybe now with the second victory, they can keep it consistent. In the big picture, though, Kyle, what a shift in the points.
Yep, Rich Hammond involved in an early race incident off of turn number 2 when Matt Clement got sideways and spun out, and Hammond had nowhere to go. Not only did he hit the wall and finish outside of the top 10 for the first time this season, he also lost the point lead to Jeremy Lavoie, who ended up on the podium.
Yep, the gap is now 10. Jeremy Lavoie now out in front of Rich Hammond. That's a huge blow for Rich. We talked about how he avoided trouble all season. His worst finish was 7th before last Friday, and he was so close to getting past Clement off of turn 2 without hitting anything, but just got a little too high and pounded the right front against the concrete. But they can shake it off.
They can.
And Jeremy Lavoie still has 3 more races to work with, so you never know. Jeremy might find trouble. Rich can capitalize, but even though there's only a few weeks to go, nothing is close to certain.
Not at all. Still 3 events left for the limited late models, along with the street stocks and a wild race a week ago. Fairly clean compared to some of the others, but it was that red 19, Adrian Paradis, back in victory lane.
That fire truck has been rolling since the big wreck in turn 4 that forced him into a backup car. And it's been nothing but top 5 finishes, returning to victory lane. He went from 3rd to 1st before they came off of turn 2 on the first lap. He made a bold 3-wide move into turn 1. It worked. He said the guy in front of him checked up more than he expected, and the closing rate was so fast that he just decided to go for it. Well, I guess it paid off. So he gets his 2nd win of the year, 3rd of his career. Travis Downey, another great run, moves up to 2nd in the results and has a chance to get up to 2nd in the points. In the points, though, Travis Hyde are still staying consistent.
By 58 points over Adrian Paradis, as
Yes.
Bird Ouellette has slipped just a bit here recently.
Bird had to start in the back of the field the last couple races. That won't be an issue for that 51 team anymore. They'll be in the handicap, so they'll have a better starting spot if they make the handicap. So we'll see what the 51 can do. But yes, he's only 2 points behind Paradis, so he can get that 2nd spot back. But Downey's in 4th lurking, ready to pounce on those 2.
Yeah, keep an eye on Burt Ouellette in the 51 and Travis Downey in the 42 as they hope to challenge for the championship here over the last month of the season. Those are just some of the storylines. It's going to be a big night of racing here, part of First Responders Night at the Stafford Motor Speedway as we honor the men and women that help us on a daily basis. Just try to get through life.
What more can we be thankful for?
Absolutely. No doubt. And they'll be here tomorrow night, part of our opening ceremonies. Hopefully you can be here in the grandstands to be here with us. And if you can't, tune us in on flowracing.com. All the action gets underway at 6 o'clock Eastern Time.